Yo, what is up guys, your boy IzuKage here with the finale for What If Naruto Was Mob Psycho's Reincarnation. You guys have been waiting a good while for this, so let's just get right into the what if. Yo guys, I just want to say this is future IzuKage. This should have been posted like 2 days ago. The audio file got corrupted. It was just a bunch of work to recover it back. So yeah, and I'm not even sure if like it's completely okay, so hopefully it is. So yeah, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy the what if. So we start this what if off with Team 7 walking back to the Leaf Village. Ino has recovered well, she can walk on her own, so they're on their way back, and Kakashi is looking at Naruto, and now he finally knows what he meant like that time ago when they were asking for their goals, and Naruto said his goal was to be able to control his power. Now Kakashi knows what he means, because like if Naruto didn't have control of that much power, it could spell disaster for everyone or everything around him. So Naruto and Team 7 make it back to the Leaf Village and go to the Hokage mansion, where they get their rewards for completing the mission successfully. So while they were there, Hiruzen gave Naruto a pat on the back, saying, "You've really come far, Naruto, make me proud." So Naruto, he smiled, and they had a short conversation there, and Naruto left the manor to go and walk around the village. And he decided to train for a bit, since it's like midday, he has time to kill. So when he goes to the training ground, Hinata and Kiba are there training already, and they were sparring, not seriously though, but just training with each other. And when Naruto walked up, Hinata stopped the fight, and she said, "Hey Naruto, it's good to see you. I heard you ran into some like dangerous ninjas on your mission, a rogue mist ninja, right?" And Naruto responded, "Yeah, it was pretty hard, but how's stuff with you? Have you been on any good missions?" But basically, Hinata and all their team have been doing the same old missions that Naruto had been complaining about, like the cats and helping old ladies and littering, all those things. So as they were speaking, Kiba actually spoke up. He said, "Naruto, can't you see we're training? Can you just leave?" And Naruto was just like, "Well, I was just talking, but I mean, I guess." And he turns to Hinata. He says, "All right then, I'll see you later, Hinata." And Hinata quickly ran up and grabbed Naruto's arm, like hugging his arm. And she says, "No, you don't have to go, Kiba. You can leave. We can train some other day." And Kiba is like, "What? You damn Naruto." And just walks off furious, because Kiba actually does have a crush for Hinata. So Hinata starts talking to Naruto. They're having a regular conversation, and Ino was actually walking by, and she sees Naruto and Hinata talking, and she kind of gets jealous since Naruto is giving Hinata attention and not her. So she went over there and said, "Hey Naruto, I just wanted to say thanks for saving me again." And after this, now the two girls started battling for his attention, trying to talk to him. But Naruto, he said, okay, how about we try training? And they do some regular physical training, stuff me and you would do, regular jogging, push-ups, stuff like that. And the whole time, Ino and Hinata were treating it like a competition, seeing who could come first to try and impress Naruto. So, but it didn't really work, and Naruto, it got late, so Naruto said, "Well, I'll be leaving, see you guys." Once Naruto left, Hinata and Ino started becoming aggressive with each other. Hinata said, "Stay away from my Naruto." And Ino said, "No, he's mine." And Hinata responded, "Well, we'll see who he picks, because I'll make sure he doesn't hang out anywhere near you." Back with Naruto, and he got home, he ate some good food and went to bed. So the next day, Team 7 was called to the training ground by their sensei, Kakashi. So Naruto got up, got ready, and headed out the door. He stopped by Teuchi for ramen, because I'm pretty sure in the first part, Teuchi actually gave Naruto unlimited ramen, like all the food is on the house. So once he finishes up, he gets to the training ground and sees his team, Ino, Sasuke, Kakashi, they're all waiting. And once Naruto gets there, Kakashi starts addressing the entire team. They ask like, "Why did you call us here for, Sensei?" And Kakashi goes on to say, "In 2 weeks we'll be having the Chunin exams. So I want to know, do you guys want to participate?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course we want to attend." Well, I mean, the only people speaking were Naruto and Ino, because Sasuke was a bit more reserved, but he gave a thumbs up. So Kakashi says, "Well, prepare for it, and it'll be happening at your academy, so be there." So during these 2 weeks to train, Ino and Naruto spend time together training for the upcoming exam. And during this time, Naruto would increase control and strength of his psychic abilities. For instance, Naruto would do training like progressively making objects he's lifting up with his telekinesis harder, or not harder, heavier. So it would be like a small rock, then a medium-sized rock, then a boulder, a huge boulder, massive boulder, stuff like that. So Ino in this time would gain more jutsu, more elemental jutsu, and also the ability to speak to speak telepathically, to speak through the mind. So when she learns this from her father, it was one of their clan abilities. So, time for the Chunin exams. Sasuke, Ino, and Naruto show up to the academy. And as soon as they enter the door, it's blocked. People are trying to get into the room, but there's some Chunins blocking the entrance. The first person to realize that this was actually a Genjutsu was Sasuke, because he was more adept to Genjutsu because of his Sharingan. Also, during the 2 weeks, Sasuke, he mainly trained on his own. He didn't really get all that much stronger, to be honest. So Sasuke realizes the Genjutsu and he tells the rest of his team. Naruto and Ino, realizing this, are like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then they just start going up to the second floor where the actual room is. Once they get there, they see Team Guy. They were waiting, and Naruto sees Lee, because remember, Naruto and Lee did train together. And Lee turns around and sees Naruto. He rushes up. He's like, "Hey, Naruto!" And Naruto's like, "Hey, what's up, Lee?" And Lee was saying, "How strong have you gotten?" And so they start talking about like different trainings they started doing and things like that. So Lee asked Naruto if he wanted to do a quick spar, and Naruto, he just declined, saying, it wouldn't really make sense right before an exams. They might fight later on in the exam. So Lee was like, "Yeah, you're right." And they leave it off at that. So they get into the waiting room for the first stage of the Chunin exams, and remember, all these people there staring at them menacingly, but in this it doesn't really get to their nerves. They just wait off in a corner. And also in the room there was Kabuto still doing his spinning card thing, and Gara, actually, this is out of character for Gara, but Gara walked up to Kabuto and he sees he can track everyone's stats. And ever since Naruto walked in, Naruto doesn't seem like much. He seems very weak, but Gara could sense he has some power to him. So Gara goes up to Kabuto and he says, "What about that kid? The one in the black?" And also, I forgot to mention, Naruto is basically wearing the same thing Mob is. So just look in the thumbnail and you see what Naruto looks like currently. So he says, "Oh, okay, he doesn't really seem like much, just like Genin of the Leaf." He starts spinning his card, and then when it poofs, Kabuto's eyes widen. "This is him? The one who killed Kisame?" Gara said, "I knew it. He was powerful." And Kabuto said that out loud, so everyone in the room started murmuring amongst themselves. "So that's the kid? Yeah. And Naruto didn't hear any of this, but before it could reach any further, Ibiki came into the room and called everyone into the first stage of the Chunin exams. He sat them down and explained all the rules, and then handed out the papers. Once they started, Naruto is way smarter than in canon, so he easily does this without having to cheat or anything like that. Ino is a Sakura level intelligence, so she doesn't have to either, and Sasuke still does his whole Sasuke is smart, but he still does the Sharingan hand movement to get all the answers. So once that's over with, Everyone, like some people are caught cheating, but all those who make it to the end get their papers collected. And then Ibiki says, "Now time for the final question." Then he says, "You can answer it, but if you get it wrong, you will be barred from taking the tuning exams ever again." And people started to weigh their odds, like just one question over never ranking up as a ninja ever. It wasn't worth it. So a lot of people left. But the ones that stayed, Ibiki announced that they all passed. And everyone was confused, like, what? And he explained that it was just a test to see who was strong-willed enough to stay. And everyone just let out a sigh of relief, like, thank God. But before they got too comfortable, someone broke through the window in the side of the building, and some of the glass landed on Ibiki. Ibiki was like, "God damn it, Uncle, I said use the front door." And Uncle is like, sorry bro. Sorry bro, don't get mad bro, why you so mad? Ibiki's like, "Oh, whatever," and just brushes it off and like walks out. "They're all yours." So Uncle puts her hands on her waist. She's like, "Okay, you guys look decent. There's more of you, aren't there?" Damn, seems Ibiki went easy this year. So she tells everyone to meet her outside by the Forest of Death. And once they were there, she explains the rules, saying even killing is allowed. And some people got unnerved by this comment, but they stayed. Then they got their scrolls handed to them. Team 7 got a Earth scroll, and then they headed to their gates, where they awaited to enter the Forest of Death for their second stage of the tuning exams. Once they get let in, they rush into the forest, jumping from tree branch to tree branch. And in this, Ino is actually a sensory type ninja. So Naruto asks her to sense for anyone near them that's weak enough for them to take down easily. So Ina does her quick little scan, and she sees like two weak auras to their left. And right in front of them, not right in front of them, but a good distance in front of them, there's this one aura, and it's powerful, more powerful than anyone's in this entire forest. So she immediately wants them to avoid it, and they head to the left. And they encounter two Genians trying to fish from a river. They sneak up behind them and put their kunais towards their neck and say, "Just give up your scroll and we won't have to kill you." The Genians say, okay. One of them even pissed his pants. He's like, "Please don't kill me." And yeah, when they get the scroll, it was the same scroll they had. It was an Earth scroll. And Sasuke is like, "God damn it." And he just throws the scroll back into the kid's face, and he falls into the river. So they get back on the run, and Ino does her whole scan thing. And that one large aura she felt earlier, it was gone. But while she was searching for it, it reappeared, and it was right in front of them. A giant snake tried slamming into them, but Naruto used his telekinetic abilities and pushed it away. So once they were in a safe area, Naruto thought for them to slow down and like regain their bearings. But once they did, a female stopped them in their path, stood right in front of them on a branch. And this female, being Orochimaru in disguise, he senses something. It was Naruto. He didn't know Naruto was this powerful, and compared to Sasuke, he was even more powerful. Why wasn't he going for Naruto? But he had to stay according to plan, so Sasuke was. And Orochimaru extended his neck trying to bite into Sasuke's, but like a barrier came up around them. A huge like oval shaped barrier covering all three of the members of Team 7. And Orochimaru, no matter how he tried, he couldn't. No matter what angle he came from, below, up top, behind, in front, it just wasn't working. So Orochimaru said, "Well, all I have is time. Let's see how long you can last in there." And Naruto knew he couldn't hold it up forever, so he had to think quickly. So he and Sasuke came up with a plan. They were going to drop the barrier and then create one around Orochimaru himself so he couldn't move, and then launch their strongest fire attack, trying to roast Orochimaru basically. So they go about with the plan. So when Orochimaru wasn't paying attention 100%, they dropped the barrier quickly, and Naruto surrounded him with telekinetic forces so he couldn't move. And then Sasuke and Naruto charge up their fire ability, Naruto using pyrokinesis and Sasuke using a great fireball jutsu. They shoot this towards Orochimaru and Naruto drops the barrier as soon as they hit, and its flames engulfs Orochimaru's body. And once it finally went out slightly, his body was completely scorched. But Naruto still sensed a semblance of life force left into him. So Naruto didn't want to waste any time, and then he got going. Him along with Team 7 started leaping on tree branches away from Orochimaru. So they get to another group of ninja and they look down, and it's the Sound Ninja, and they were attacking Hinata's team. Kiba, Hinata, and Shino. At this point, Hinata was the only one standing due to sheer luck and her actually doing a bit of training once in a while. So Naruto and his team jump down in front of an attack sent by Dosu. Naruto simply blocks this, then basically force chokes, you can think of it like that. Force chokes Dosu, immobilizing him. Zaku tries helping his teammate out, but he gets the same treatment, and the only one left is Kin, the female member. Sasuke goes after her, and over like a simple taijutsu fight, using his Sharingan actually, Sasuke takes her down, leaving the final attack with a fireball jutsu, scorching her entire body. So with all the teammates immobilized, Naruto, due to a lack of oxygen, both Dosu and Zaku, they pass out. And Naruto and his team searched their bodies for their needed scrolls, and luckily they had a heaven scroll. So Naruto used his newfound healing abilities to heal up Kiba and Shino, who were not down in the attack, and Hinata got roughed up too, so he healed her as well, and she thanked him profusely, like so much. And yeah, Team 7 headed towards the manor in the middle of the Forest of Death. Okay, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't record the last part like a day ago, so let's just get right into it. So Naruto and his team get to the manor safely, and they're waiting for the rest of the people in the Chunin exams to arrive. While they're waiting around, Gara and his team arrive, and Gara sees Naruto and he's just thinking, this proves it, now I have to fight him. So by the next day, more teams started showing up, and overnight they just chilled in one of the rooms in the building. So when the rest of the Genins who passed arrive, the invigilators of the exam escorted everyone to a room for the preliminary exams. Hiruzen comes up and does his whole speech and, saying there's too many people who passed. So Hiruzen comes up with the idea of doing the preliminaries. And those who drop out, like Kabuto and others, still do as well. So the first matchups, Kiba versus Naruto. Kiba calls out for Akamaru and he transforms into Kiba. Yeah, and then he yells Fang over Fang, and they both start spinning at high rates of speed towards Naruto, and Naruto, not even wanting to waste time, shoots a bolt of lightning that hit both Kiba and Akamaru, sending them to the ground. The proctor runs over and checks if Kiba is out, and he is, so Naruto moves on to the third stage of the Chunin exams. So for the rest of the exams, nothing really changes. Sasuke still beats up the Sound Ninja, just like in canon. So onto the month training period. During this time, Hiruzen sends an Anbu to get Naruto, and so Naruto heads back to the office with the Anbu. And Hiruzen says, once he gets in the office, Hiruzen says to Naruto, you'll be training under one of the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya. And Naruto was pretty excited. He's heard stories of the three great Sannin, and to be training under one is an honor. So as he says this, Jiraiya walks in, and Naruto, he hears the doors obviously, and he turns around and he sees Jiraiya, and he starts bowing, saying it's gonna be an honor training under you. And Jiraiya says, it's no need to bow, let's see what you're made of, kid. And at that moment, they head out to start their training. Jiraiya does most of the same training as canon, except he realized Naruto is really adept at wall and water walking, actually doing them on his first try. And Jiraiya was amazed because, he's a Genin and he wasn't expecting a Genin to know this. Also, Hiruzen didn't tell Jiraiya, so tell Jiraiya about Naruto's, power. So he's going in blind. And Jiraiya gives Naruto the Toad Seal to sign, and he does that as well. And when he is told to summon a toad, he does the biting his finger and then doing the hand signs, and the boss toad comes out, Gamabunta. And Jiraiya's like, how? This Genin, there's no way. Obviously, it's Naruto and he has a large chakra reserves, but on his first go, that's incredible. So Gamabunta is like, hey Jiraiya, why did you summon me? And Jiraiya's like, I didn't summon you, bro. It was that kid on your head. And he's like, this little squirt. And then Naruto said, yeah, pretty easy. He's like, there's no way, yada yada yada. And he still does his trial of trying to knock Naruto off his head. But this time Naruto really doesn't even flinch, because he knows wall walking, so he can just stick to the top of his head, no problem. And instead of this taking the whole day, after an hour or two, Gamabunta realized Naruto wasn't gonna budge and said, oh, alright kid, you summoned me, alright. I guess I can be your master. Whatever. Peace out, Jiraiya. And he just poofs away. Jiraiya was pretty amazed at Naruto's raw ability, and when he went up basically to tell Naruto this, kid, you have some good skills, and Naruto is like, oh, I didn't really try today. And Jiraiya said, you didn't try? What do you mean? He's like, yeah, that's not really most of my powers. And Jiraiya says, yeah, he's continuing to ask what does he mean by that. And Naruto starts showing him what he can do, like his psychic abilities. And Jiraiya's watching him display all this, and he's showing him how he can use different elements as well with his psychic powers. And Jiraiya is it's just speechless. He's looking at this how this isn't like any Kekkei he's ever heard of. So Jiraiya says, that's incredible, Naruto. Your father would be proud. And Naruto's like, my father? He's like, oh, my daughter, that's what I meant. Naruto is like, okay, old man, I don't really know your daughter, but sure. And Jiraiya's like, that was a close one. But anyways, the rest of the month goes the same. Naruto, during this time, seeing Jiraiya use, cause he's progressing really quickly, and Jiraiya actually showed him the Rasengan. And instead of using chakra with this, Naruto created an orb of his raw psychic powers. And when he slams this into a wall, it kinda does a nullifying effect. Basically just removing the area around where the Rasengan hit, or Rasengan in quotes. And Jiraiya seeing this, what? Jiraiya doesn't even know anymore with Naruto, where his abilities stop. This is a one-hit kill. Well, they haven't tried it on someone, but the materials off the mountain just disappeared. So what would happen if that actually hit someone? So Jiraiya advised Naruto never to use that on any circumstances, except for the exception that it's some highly skilled S rank rogue ninja, just no one of his friends basically. So onto the end of this whole training period and the third stage of the Chunin exams. All the villagers filled the seats of the arena awaiting the fights, and all the Genins were ready. So first up was Naruto versus Gara. As soon as the proctor started the match, Gara sent out a huge sand wave at Naruto. And Hinata from the stand, she remembered this. Remember, she saw this move in action in the second stage of the Chunin exams, and she knew what it could do. And the sand directly hit Naruto, and a murderous grin was on his face, Gara's face. And you must die. And he tightens his fists, and people who knew about Gara's jutsu all made a collective gasp. But the normal rain of blood that came after wasn't there. Gara called back his sand, and Naruto was just standing there unfazed. Naruto then ran at Gara, trying to hit him, but his sand defense was too fast. Naruto then backed up to use something he'd been working on himself, hydrokinesis. He can control fire, lightning, etc., but he's always been bad at water. Also, you might be wondering why Naruto has the ability to create and control every element. Well, And in the show it's only fire and lightning. Well, Naruto did absorb Kurama's chakra, so it boosted his psychic abilities as well. So Naruto forms a huge invisible wall in front of him, and since it's made of psychic energy, he just changes its form, turning into water, and there was a almost 20-foot wave coming crashing down onto Gara, and all the spectators were amazed. Some clapped and cheered. Gara got knocked down, so while he was just sitting in a nice puddle, Naruto ran up on him. Gara tried using his sand, but it was too heavy from the water, since the sand absorbed the water, and Naruto kicked Gara right across the jaw, sending him sliding across the ground. He started to get angry, but Naruto just didn't let up. He kept kicking him as soon as he got up, and it came to a point where Gara's face was starting to morph into a monster. He looked down at his arm and immediately said, "No!" And he started running over the arena walls and into the forest, and Naruto gave chase. Once outside, a loud boom could be heard all around the village, and everyone started panicking. Hiruzen got up and started looking around, then the IzuKage unmasked himself, revealing Orochimaru. So their fight begins, with the Sound 4 putting up the same huge barrier around them. So back with Naruto. Gara stopped and went on the attack, except this time he was fast and stronger. Getting a few hits from him would definitely hurt if he dropped his guard. So he would always have a thin barrier around his body protecting him, and that's how he actually survived Gara's sand attack earlier. Gara didn't let up on Naruto, because he did the same thing to him, until Naruto set up a massive flame, causing Gara to stumble back and fall off the tree branch. He hit his head on the ground, and this knocked Gara out, but out came the beast, Shikaku. Naruto saw this massive Biju, and he had a solution. Naruto pricked his finger and did the hand signs for the summoning jutsu, summoning Gamabunta. Shikaku started mouthing off about, "Oh, no damn toad can't beat me," and he slammed his stomach, releasing 4 wind bullets. Gamabunta drew his sword to try and deflect the attack, but Naruto simply put up a invisible wall and told Gamabunta just to run to him, so he did. Shikaku tried releasing more bullets just for them to be blocked, and once Gamabunta got close enough, he swiped his blade, cutting Shikaku's head clean off. When the head hit the ground, this woke Gara up, and Shikaku went back into his cage. So back to the Leaf Village. It wasn't looking too good for Hiruzen, since nothing would really change, so he does die the same way as Kanen, and Orochimaru escapes unable to use both arms. So Naruto brought Gara back and just threw him to the side, and he went to Kakashi. He said they all managed to run the Sand Shinobi out of the village, but Hiruzen didn't make it. Naruto froze, thinking Hiruzen didn't make it? The old man, he's gone? Naruto didn't want to accept this, but Kakashi gave him a pat on the shoulder and said, "Hey, keep your head up. He did die protecting us so we could live on. That's something great, to be honored, and not sit around just moping." Naruto shook his head in agreement, cause Kakashi was speaking facts, but he couldn't help but feel sad. So let's go to Sasuke for a second. Before Orochimaru and the Sound 4 did leave the village, instead of it being days after the Chunin exams, the Sound 4 approached Sasuke, offering him power. He was hesitant and tried overpowering them, but once they activated their curse mark, it was a wrap. Sasuke knew he wouldn't win, so he succumbed, and also those marks over their bodies, Sasuke saw how strong it made them almost immediately, and if he could get one of those, he would finally be stronger than Naruto and would be able to avenge his clan. Also, the whole Tsunade retrieval thing almost goes the same, except Naruto would put up a fight against Itachi, actually almost winning, because all of Naruto's abilities can cancel out Itachi's, so he wouldn't really be the best match for Naruto. But you can't beat skill, so Jiraiya had to come in and run Itachi away. Also, it's only Itachi because remember, Kisame died. Also, the bet with Tsunade would go differently. Instead of it being the Rasengan, Naruto would say, well, what if I could lift this whole building? And Tsunade just laughed and said, yeah, sure. But Naruto was stone-faced, showing he was serious. So Tsunade said, you know what, go ahead. And I'll even throw this necklace in. So, and of course, Naruto used his telekinesis and lifted the entire building, getting himself a new Cuban link. So, onto the 3-year time skip. During this time, Naruto did go on a journey with Jiraiya, but before he did, he was promoted to Jonin, considering his actions in the Chunin exams and the Anbu who he took down. It was well deserved. And Naruto did, before they left, Naruto did ask Jiraiya if he could bring Ino along. Jiraiya didn't oppose, so during this whole 3-year time skip, Naruto and Ino did grow closer, like a lot, actually making it official, becoming lovers, not married, but while on the other hand, Hinata was plotting her revenge on Ino for stealing her man. So, a month before they would go back to the Leaf, Jiraiya got word from a messenger bird sent from Tsunade. He took out the letter and it said for them to go to the sand and that the IzuKage was in trouble. Naruto didn't have an attachment to Gara, so it would take longer for them to arrive, like a week, since it wasn't their priority like in canon. Like in canon, they were running straight, like non-stop. So when they get there, the ninjas inform them of their current situation, and when they got into the hospital, fortunately, Lady Tsunade sent Kakashi so they would get help tracking down Gara, but unfortunately, Kankuro is barely hanging on to life due to the poison from Sasori, and Ino doesn't know like much medical ninjutsu. So Naruto tries his own, using his psychic energy to heal, and it worked. Kankuro was feeling much better, but this didn't neutralize the poison. So though he seemed fine and like he wouldn't die, but like he would die, but no one knew. And Kankuro was even walking, so yikes. So as soon as possible, Kakashi summoned his Ninken and got a smell from like Tamari, got a scent for Gara for Pakun to smell to track him down. So instead of the dogs going first and them returning, Jiraiya, Ino, and Naruto and Kakashi head out with them, and they made it to this valley with a river running through it. Everyone jumped down and Gara's scent led them to a cave opening, but unlike canon, there was no boulder blocking the entrance. It was actually wide open. The team walked in and there was absolutely nothing. No statue, no Gara, no one. And they all realized that they were too late and most likely lost Gara. So with a mission basically failed, they head back to the Leaf. And before they reached though, Jiraiya parted ways because he had to meet up with someone from his spy network with intel. So he's gone. The team is jumping through the trees trees towards the Leaf Village. And when they finally get there, they look to the village and it's like they almost couldn't recognize it. There was a massive crater in the middle of it. The only thing making it recognizable was the Hokage's heads. And Naruto and his team immediately jump down to try and assess the situation. And they go over and see some of the Konoha 12 on the side. But the person in the middle of all this destruction was someone with a black robe and red clouds. Naruto, just seeing the village flatten, this made him enraged. But Kakashi, used some of his sweet words to calm Naruto down a bit, but still. Naruto jumped down to the man in the black coat. There were only 3 paths of pain there, the Deva path, Ashura path, aka the one with the missiles, and the Preta path, or the one that absorbs all types of chakra. Naruto began attacking pain, trying to keep his cool in the process. So while he was running at the Ashura path, firing dozens of missiles, but Naruto just ran right through it, like unfazed. So the Ashura pass was the first to get some hand-to-hand combat, but all of its attacks were useless. Naruto used telekinesis to lift the path in the air and just squeeze down, creating a fist, crushing it into nothing. Pain was puzzled by Naruto's power. It was like nothing he'd ever seen before. So next was the Preta path. But what was there to absorb? Naruto wasn't using chakra, well, most of the time. And this guy was beefy, so he could take a beating for a while. Naruto decided to use his jutsu he developed with Jiraiya, but never got to use. So as the Preta path ran towards Naruto, he focused his psychic energy to a specific point in the middle of his palm, and it started rotating like an orb, like the Rasengan. But instead of a radiant blue, it was devoid of all color, completely black. Naruto weaved out of the way of an oncoming punch, then slammed the dark Rasengan into the path's chest, and an effect like the Kamui formed around him. The path began to swirl into nothingness, gone. And Pain was now on full defense. He couldn't get hit by that, but that's what Naruto's plan was. He already started forming one. And when Naruto looked at Pain, Pain was just seeing the end of the line, or not. Pain raised a hand and called Naruto to stop, and he announced, "Naruto Uzumaki, you have proven yourself to me today, with your amazing skill, but I will not back down easily." Naruto said, "I thought so," and he started running, but Pain used almighty push, and Naruto was at Naruto, and he began to resist it, using an invisible barrier to blocking most of its effects, but he was still pushed back like a few steps. And Pain now knew what he had to do to get the upper hand on Naruto. And he said, "Wow, Naruto, really impressive, but now you lose." Naruto was wondering what he was talking about, but from outside the crater, the other three paths arrived, with someone tied up. The path threw the body in front of, once they slide down the crater and get to the Deva path, they threw the body in front of him, and he picked this girl up by the hair. It was Ino. "Now, Naruto, which do you cherish more, this village or her life?" And Ino was now begging Naruto to save her, but she was gagged and could only make muffled cries. Naruto was faced with a seemingly impossible decision, but he still had a few tricks up his sleeves. Naruto dissipated the Dark Rasengan and put his hand up, showing he wasn't a threat, and slowly started walking towards Pain. But then he vanished using his invisibility. Though he couldn't hold it for long, Naruto made his way towards Pain, running. Pain shouted, "Show yourself or she dies. 3, 2, 1. And Pain used a chakra rod and shoved it through her chest. Naruto came visible at the last moment, holding Ino's body, but Ino was barely conscious, and the last thing she could say was, "Don't be mad," and her life faded away. Naruto was lying there on the ground, covered by Ino's blood, and his eyes now rolled back into his skull, and a dark fog started flowing from his body, and clouds started to gather, blocking the sun, creating a simulated night. First Hiruzen, then the village, now Ino. All the emotions came rushing out, and the immediate area around Naruto exploded, creating a mini crater. Naruto's body was not completely physical, some parts were now intangible. Naruto stepped forward, and this caused a massive tremor felt by all 5 great villages. Naruto then jumped at Pain, the ground behind him now destroyed, and when he landed next to him, he was sent flying just from the initial impact. Naruto used telekinesis to pull Pain back towards him, and he extended his arm, and when Pain came flying back, his neck met Naruto's arm, almost decapitating him due to the force. But his windpipe was now crushed. Naruto raised a foot and then stepped on his head. This cracked the earth below them, and to Kakashi was viewing this, and he was also injured because those three pains that brought Ino, they had to fight Kakashi to retrieve her. And he saw Naruto, and it was even worse than on the bridge. No one could even stop him, and he yelled to the medical ninja, helping wounded civilians and other ninjas to get as far away from the village as possible. So back with Naruto, he placed his hand on the dead Deva path and pulled the other three to him. Then, similarly to planetary devastation, Naruto started pulling rocks and other close objects surrounding the paths, and these rocks and other materials started melting. Naruto used his now extreme levels of pyrokinesis with fires hotter than those in the underworld. This just wasn't enough for Naruto though. He couldn't call it quits now. Just this burning anger inside kept growing and growing, and the more power Naruto had, the wider this sort of circle around him extended, and this caught any vegetation in it on fire and cracked the crust of the earth. And this encompassed the entire Leaf Village and surrounding forest. Soon Naruto's body couldn't even handle it, and it died off, leaving only Mob's subconscious. This mass of pure energy was floating above the ground, and Mob just couldn't bear to see the destruction he caused, and that he would cause if he were to ever give anyone this power again or try to integrate in another world. So Mob released years of stored up power to make himself as weak as possible. At once, a massive explosion basically left a crater triple, maybe even quadruple the size of Pain's. And in this, the original body of Pain, who was hiding off in some trees, was taken out because he was close to the Leaf Village. So the little ball of dimly lit light that was left over, this was Mob's subconscious, and it barely had enough power, only the power to move around. And this faint ball of light flew above the clouds and back into space, right where Mob started. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked it, and if you like my content in general, consider subscribing. Hopefully you guys kind of like the route I took with Mob's powers. It was kind of a never-ending cycle of just misery, I guess you can call it. But yeah, I definitely had fun with this entire series. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and more dope series to come. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.